Oh yeah. Oh that.
Gonna what?
It's gonna edit it. You sound.
Yeah, right.
And we are. Why? All right. I haven't really figured out an intro to this shit. Um, it's called the Tailored Marketer Podcast. The point of the podcast is we invite business owners on from around the St. Louis area, usually small business owners. Just shoot the shit, talk about your business, which I'm involved in at this point, and just kind of go from there. Whatever comes to mind. You talk about anything you want, sports and who cares. So here with GreenHead. Tell me, you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then let's kind of talk about the business. Go from there.
Yeah. I'm Alec Binty. That's Josh Carndiff.
And Josh Carnduff. We, just recently started GreenHead.
How recently?
Yeah, what's it been? Like 3 months?
Yeah. Well, no, a little longer than that. I guess we got our first sample in September. That would have been when. So I guess would have been before that because it probably took a good month to get our first sample in.
Yeah, that's probably right. Actually, I remember that we registered our business in August of last year. So that was kind of the starting point.
What at what point did you guys sit there and go, well, first, what is GreenHead? Let's go from there.
Yeah, it's ready to drink cocktail. So think like High Noon, Neutral, Cutwater. But it's meant to be geared towards the male consumer, right? So the Busch Light of ready to drink cocktails, best say.
And what made you guys sit there and just kind of go, we want to make our own, we want to start this? Was it you guys just you like them, but like it just wasn't hitting the spot, or just thinking, we want to get in on this market?
So if you want to take that, or I can start from the very beginning with,
Go for it.
So it's actually been over the last couple years. Alec has talked about a craft beer type and looking into making his own craft beer. We had discussed different types of options, different possibilities, just something different than what's out there. When looking at the business, it was going to be very difficult to have a sustainable business model
For craft beer?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, because we weren't doing our own, brewing or anything like that.
And had no interest in it. So, like, if you were going to do a craft beer, it was going to be you were going to find a brewery someplace to make your own brand of beer.
Everything would be contracted out.
Which I imagine, now, I've been into beer a little bit, but I imagine that's kind of a taboo concept, right? Most craft beer, they're brewing it themselves, right?
I'm not sure, bro.
Yeah, so a lot of guys are, right? And there are people that contract brew, but they don't necessarily advertise it, right? Because craft is all about being locally produced with local products. Yeah. So you're really trying to market to the local consumer, right? That, hey, we're from this area. We get products from this area to create this beer. But when we looked at the craft beer industry, it's super capital intensive. If you want to buy your own equipment, brew your own beer, distribute your own product, you're talking about millions of dollars just to get off the ground, right? Before you even have any sales. So that wasn't viable for us. So we just thought, okay, how do we pivot from this idea to something that can actually work for two people that are kind of just starting out? And that's kind of how we landed on a ready to drink cocktail. It can be, for lack of a better term, more mass market, has more mass market appeal than a local craft brewer.
Interesting. Okay, so walk me through it. At what point you guys were just sitting there, you had a bar, you at home, just text each other one night saying, hey, let's do this? Or what? How did that happen?
I'd probably say your base at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it was, so we're obviously really good friends, and it's kind of just been like a rolling conversation since we got out of college, right? Like, what are we going to do? We want to do some sort of business, some sort of a side hustle together. So it's been going on forever. And I work in the beer distribution space. So I kind of naturally lean towards what can we do in the alcoholic beverage space that I kind of have a good understanding of the industry already. So that's how we kind of ultimately, I feel like when I think back on it, I think back to we were at a buddy's bachelor party and his dad was there and we were in Nashville and he's drinking a high noon. There's like 20 guys around, right? Everybody is giving this guy's dad shit for drinking a high noon. Everybody, just mercilessly.
Yeah.
And like when I think back to that moment, it was kind of a light switch that I didn't even realize at the time. But it's like, oh, what if somebody came out with a product that looks like a beer and is marketed like a beer, but it tastes like a high noon?
Right.
So this guy's dad could drink this product and not get any shit from any of the other guys at the bar, but still drink what he wants to drink.
Right. Yeah. And then also at the same time, I've always just kind of thought with something like that, like you have a group of single dudes going out, you know, there's this like weird, for lack of better terms, taboo-ness for guys to drink cocktails if it's not just like straight whiskey or you know, something like a seltzer or something like that. And so you have a bunch of single dudes that are going out, not all of them like beers, but also like they don't want to seem like, unfortunately, this is just the world we live in, less of men because they aren't drinking a beer or something. So they can all just have this drink in their hand and still feel like confident or so like it's really, really, it's a really good idea because I like beer, but there's only so much of it that I feel like I can drink. You know, there's especially like, if we really want to dive deep into it, you know, like with the rise of like gluten allergies and stuff like that, like you don't want to be the guy out with a bunch of friends and saying, I have a gluten allergy. I'll take a seltzer instead of a beer or something like that. But at the same time, you can order this. You could say, I want a GreenHead, which does not sound like a seltzer name necessarily.
Right.
They give you this can, which the design of it now, it looks like a beer can. You know, there's no law, there's nothing out there that says that the seltzer can has to look like a seltzer can.
Right.
You know, so it's really, really cool. And also another thing, I think it could be a potential oopsies opportunity for some people where they see this cool can, they buy it, and then they open it and they go, oh, this isn't beer. It's actually pretty good. Like, yeah. I'll take it. I'll drink it. It's nice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or at least they see the can and they're willing to try it, right? Whereas maybe some guys look at a High Noon or a White Claw and then they weren't willing to grab that at the bar when they're surrounded by their buddies.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of problems with the seltzer industry and the ready-to-drink cocktail industry is that the cans are so colorful and, like, it's not necessarily something that, I don't know, it's such a, all of this that we're talking about is such a vanity kind of topic, but that's the thing, is that a lot of people, they drink alcohol, they have drinks, and it's, people go to certain types of alcohol or certain drinks because it is kind of an extension of their personality. You know, whiskey drinkers, wine drinkers, beer drinkers, like, people will drink, let's get a bucket of Busch Light, or, you know, but like they won't necessarily get a bucket of Natty, you know, like it's just kind of a whole mixture. Like it's kind of who they are. This is what we drink, you know?
And so, like, to your point of the really colorful cans and everything, there are, but at the same time, you'd be kind of surprised with how ultimately all of the seltzer cans do look kind of similar. They all kind of have, you know, a similar base of, hey, you're going to have this kind of base with the brighter colors that you could say it's a little more feminine, tailored towards the more feminine and everything. But
well, it's the skinnier can too, you know, like, yeah. It's so funny because, like, Michelob Ultra, for example, they were one of the first, I believe, that came out with a thinner can because they felt like it would appeal to women more,
Right.
because obviously like that's the whole, it's crazy. That's the whole thought behind the Coke bottle. Why Coke used to be just like a straight bottle, plastic bottle, and they went from that to the kind of the thinner. It's almost like, if you're doing the universal symbol for a woman's body where it's kind of just like thin like that, because they wanted people to feel like it was like not as bad for them. It's so crazy how just the shape of the bottle or shape of the can has that psychological effect on people.
Yeah. Well, think about it from even like a soda point of view. If you look at some of the 2 or 3 liter bottles that are straight up and down that have a little like shape to it, people think that same concept.
Right. Yeah, I think the thinner can is it's a little trendier, but as we all know, if you're out golfing, if you're on a party bus, cup holders aren't made for thin cans. Cup holders are made for beer cans.
Right.
So if anything at all, your product is the product that people are going to buy out of pure convenience of the fact that it fits in a cup holder in any situation. So that's a commercial right there. You got to write this down. So for people who don't know, I'm working with GreenHead, doing some marketing with them, consulting on different things, shooting creative, some website stuff. So anything that I say or we talk about, just understand that I'm involved with them. But yeah, I got to make a mental note of that, because I think that's kind of that's a fun idea. Like we'll get like a generic thin can, hit a bump on the golf course and it just spills everywhere. And, with the GreenHead, just doesn't go anywhere at all.
That's a good idea.
Also fits in a koozie, perfect koozie, where White Claws and stuff do not fit in koozies. They make specific koozies, but
the skinny can koozies.
yeah, but like this fits 95% of the products, where the skinny can koozies only fit like
Skinny cans.
skinny cans. Yeah.
It's so funny, like when you think about like White Claw, right? Like when they came out with White Claw, they totally thought it was going to be a feminine product, totally geared towards women, and they just accidentally stumbled into the fact that, oh man, guys actually like this too. And the younger guys, the younger generations of men aren't necessarily as scared to drink that product. The older generations of men were, right? Like your grandpa wasn't going to drink a White Claw at the bar with his buddies, but a younger guy might, even though it wasn't geared towards him and it wasn't marketed towards him. Same thing as high noon. So what if we took that same product and actually marketed it towards that person?
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic idea. Well, it's fun. Yeah, it's just like the new generation of drinkers. I don't think they're slightly different than the generation that even we kind of grew up in, and there's only a difference of maybe 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And I think people are just kind of drinking whatever they want this time. They aren't necessarily going for beers. They aren't necessarily going for whatever. Just kind of doing for whatever tastes good. And I feel like, especially with the rise and the boom of the craft beer industry, where you have more fruitier flavors, not necessarily that typical beer flavor. This market kind of fits almost into the same realm.
I would say though, there is probably even a little more of a stigma to seltzers being more feminine than some of the fruitier craft beers, though.
Well, you're right.
It's most of them, even though the craft beer might be a ton fruitier or whatever, there's still a little more feminine feel to most seltzers. And so I think that's one of the main points of our product, is to eliminate that.
Well, I think guys, just the stereotype, guys drink beers, girls drink seltzers. Yeah. When you go out, all the girls order seltzers and all the guys order beers, if minus cocktails or whatever. But I think that's where this product really comes into play, is because it's the seltzer, I feel like, always this is just my theory. I don't know if there's any truth to this, but the seltzer always appealed more to women for the same reason why Anheuser-Busch marketed Michelob Ultra and turned it into the skinny can, is because it was going to appeal to women more. And so when all the seltzers came out that way, it was just kind of assumed, and the psychology behind it was geared towards women. And this product is in a 12-ounce can, like beer-looking can. This is a guy's drink.
Yeah, so to even, I guess, backtrack our story even a little more, Alec and I grew up together. So we're from small town in Illinois, grew up very small town feel, everything outdoors, all that. We've known each other for ever. I mean, elementary school, probably played on our first basketball team together in third grade. It's so we've been friends forever. We have this a lot of the same group of friends that we've known for so long, and this is a product that we can take home and not be embarrassed to go to some of the more outdoorsy or more blue collar or more everyday type of guy and just be like, hey, why aren't you drinking a GreenHead? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, why aren't you drinking this?
Well, it's all about the design. I mean, the product is the design. It's crazy. Like, I mean, what do you guys? I haven't tasted it yet, but what do you? I mean, you guys have had samples. You've finalized the formula.
Yeah.
But and the formula is good, obviously, because you finalized it. But if anything, like, you don't necessarily have to be the best tasting one. People are still gonna buy because of the design of the can. I think that's kind of cool. Is that you almost have that kind of like, it is really good, but even if people prefer another flavor or another brand over yours, they're probably still going to buy yours because of the design and because of the meaning behind it.
Right.
Yeah, I think you hit on something really important there. Like when you think about a light beer drinker, right? Like, why does someone drink Busch Light versus Miller Light or Coors Light? They don't taste that different. They're a very similar product, right? But it's, where did you grow up? Who did you start drinking around? Right. What did your dad drink, right? And once you started drinking that brand, it starts to say something about who you are. Yeah, you're going to stick with it. Because if you didn't, it's changing who you are, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's die-hard beer brand people.
For sure.
I will never drink a Bud Light. I'll never drink a Coors Light. I'll never drink a Natty Light. I mean, unless someone buys a bucket, then I guess I'll have one. Like which is always the case. I think for the most part, if someone's getting a free drink, they'll drink pretty much whatever.
They won't complain too.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are those people out there that won't drink a bucket of seltzers because they don't want to drink a seltzer. But they'll probably drink your product because, sure, I'll try it.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately, like, I think our product tastes better than White Claw or High Noon. But frankly, it's a pretty similar taste profile. But what does our product say about you when you drink it versus drinking High Noon?
Yeah. And so what
differentiation?
What's the flavor? So you guys only have one flavor that you're coming out with to start. What's that flavor?
Yeah. So it's a vodka lime.
Vodka lime?
Yeah. This is our first flavor. It's 7% alcohol, so it's a little bit more than your traditional High Noon or White Claw. We felt like that was important when you're targeting kind of the male demographic.
Mm-hmm. And explain that process a little bit, so like I know people who drink a lot of soda, who, there's even certain beer drinkers, like there's certain places, like, let me bring it back to soda really quick. There's certain places where, like, if you go to like a McDonald's, where everybody's like, oh, their soda tastes so much better, or you'll go to certain places that are like, oh, their soda's crap, like, but it's this exact same thing. It's a Coke at McDonald's or a Coke at IHOP. Either way, like, but for some reason, like, the carbonation's off or something. Like, so explain that process of how, like, did you guys try different carbonation levels? Did you try different like amounts of lime? Like how exactly was that?
So that's actually, in my opinion, a very fun part of what we've really been through. When the first idea was like, oh, it's got to have, this much lime. You've got to taste the lime. We actually started with the tonic at first as well. And then we've had people test it. And, then people were like, you might want to try something else.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out like while vodka tonic sounds manlier than vodka soda, people don't fucking like vodka tonic.
I think tonic's a very isolating type of mixer.
Polarizing, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, polarizing is a better word for it. Thanks. And I just feel like it has a flavor to it that you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
And soda is just so much more like you can add a little sugar to it if you want to, especially in a ready to drink cocktail. Like when you go to a bar and get a vodka soda lime, you're not gonna be like, hey, can you add a little sugar to that? But you guys can do that. You guys can add a little sweetness to it and it'll not be a big deal.
Yeah. So just going through the different rounds of flavor and even little tweaks, just maybe try, different kinds of lime or and then Alec, I mean, you would know best, just the kind of after a couple rounds and you're like, it's just missing a little something.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you go through several rounds when you're kind of developing this new product, and it's always, at least later on, as you're going to the rounds, like it's all subtle tweaks, right? But they make a big difference in what people like ultimately, yeah, right? Like you could make a very subtle tweak in the carbonation or in how much sugar you're using in the product, and it could have a really big reaction for everybody that's trying that round of sample.
Really?
Yeah.
And was there anything about your product that was super important for you to have in it? Like any particular, like I know, for example, you guys don't have any artificial flavoring in it. It's all natural flavoring or natural products. Was that kind of like an important piece for you to have that, like to not have that, like, because I know like there's let me kind of lead it a little bit. Like I know right now there's a big like health kick going on where people don't want artificial flavoring. They want natural flavor, even if it's just like people would rather have something that says natural lime flavor over artificial lime flavor. I feel like people think that's like a healthier option. Was that kind of a sticking point for you guys, or did it just, was the taste just better?
I'll say, I think there's two things that we felt like were pretty important. Early on, we knew that we wanted to have real lime juice. Yeah. So that's kind of how we started, with only real lime juice. And we realized after the first sample, it's like, whoa, that's really overpowering.
Really? Like, it was like tart or like too much lime? Like
it's just like, it totally overpowered any other flavor or any other taste. You could only taste the real lime juice. So we kind of had to dial that back and figure out, okay, what's a different mix of just like of natural soda flavors with real lime juice. Okay. And then I think second, which we kind of found out along the journey, right, was that we wanted to have a corn-based vodka. There's a ton of different vodkas out there, right? You can have a potato-based vodka, you can have a wheat-based vodka, but we felt like a corn-based vodka was really important, especially for us being like a Midwestern brand.
Yeah.
And trying to resonate with the Busch Light drinker out there, right? Like Busch Light comes out with corn cob cans every year.
Yeah.
People love them.
I think that's a great idea. It also expands your customer base. I mean, we just talked about, the rise of kind of, gluten-free diets and people that are being diagnosed with celiac and stuff like that. They can still drink your product. Where a lot of vodkas out there are wheat-based, and you have to be really careful. So people are always looking for those potato-based vodkas. To be honest, I don't think a lot of people know that there's corn-based vodkas. I mean, it's usually wheat or potato. Where did you guys? I mean, was that something that you just knew, or is that just an option that you had a?
So actually, I would say, Alec, that was one of the biggest sticking points from the start was when we talked to the formulation company was, hey, we really want to try to get a corn-based vodka. As long as we could make it fit with everything else, the taste fit, all that, it was, I'd say that was one of the more important things was.
Yeah, I think we found that out early on, and it was more early on from like a branding perspective, right? Of we're a Midwestern brand, we want to appeal to people who drink Busch Light, so we want it to be corn based. But what we ended up finding out too was corn based vodka actually has a different taste profile than other vodkas based from like potatoes or wheat, right? Where it's a little bit sweeter if it's corn based, and so what that means is when you put it in an RTD, you need to add less sugar on top of it. That's sweeter corn-based vodka. Exactly right.
So that's a huge selling point. Better for you. Yeah, that's a huge selling point, and I think that's really going to resonate with definitely the St. Louis, Missouri audience, and then expand further out from there.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads into the next question. What is you guys are planning to launch summertime, right? Early summertime. Not an official date yet, but what is that kind of launch area that you're looking at?
You can take it.
Yeah, so early on, we're thinking just the St. Louis metro, kind of on the Missouri side, for the product launch in the early summer. See where that takes us. We think probably launching on the Illinois side in the St. Louis metro is kind of the next step, and then we go from there, right? We go hopefully statewide in Missouri, and then eventually kind of region-wide in the Midwest. I think that's really where this brand is going to resonate. I don't know that we ever see ourselves like if it's just wildly successful going national. I mean, that's great, but I think at the end of the day, who this appeals to is your everyday blue-collar guy in Middle America.
Yeah. And so two different types of questions next. And what do you see as your biggest challenge launching this product or as a brand?
There's a couple challenges, of course. I mean, our plan is going through distribution. So making sure we're connected with the correct distributor who values our product as much as we do. We don't want to get connected with someone who says, yeah, that's fine, we'll sell some here, some there. We want someone who, has an understanding and likes our product and our idea and everything. I mean, Mike, think about, when we came to you and asked you to do some marketing for us and you're like, I am stoked about this product. How easy that made our decision to be like, right. Why wouldn't we work with someone who is happy to work with our product? So making sure we find someone to connect with on that level that kind of feels the same way. I would say another challenge is just going to be making, as with any new brand, making sure our brand name gets out there correctly, in the right way, and getting to the right people.
Right. I think that's something that you guys are doing right now. I mean, like, how many alcohol brands are out there? Like, not to pat ourselves on the back, but like, how many alcohol brands are out there like talking about it on a podcast? How many alcohol brands are out there, creating content to give people a little more of an insight into how the product was created? I mean, you have a bunch of people out there, like, if you're on TikTok or anything like that, there's a lot of people who will go on TikTok and they'll talk about whiskeys and they'll say, hey, this is our favorite whiskey, we're going to profile this one, or even wines, but the brands aren't doing it. It's other people doing it, which is great. It's great for your brand. It's free marketing, but the brand isn't doing it. And for me, and for I think a lot of people, sometimes people like connecting with a brand. Sometimes people want to spend their money in an area just because they can relate to a specific brand. I mean, you guys literally could be opening the door for people who have never tried seltzers.
Yep.
That are going to try it specifically because it's local, it's corn based, so you're supporting your local area. You're supporting that industry. I mean, there's a lot of things that people who might not try have never had a seltzer, this could be their first opportunity to do so because they just have that connection with it.
And really, curiosity sells.
Yeah.
It's if you see a product online that might be on sale and you're like, huh, I might not need that, but it's a pretty good price. I'm kind of curious enough that I might buy that. So
right. Where do you guys see yourself in like the pricing structure to some of your competitors? Or even, I mean, you can even include yourself in are you closer to a seltzer price point? Or are you closer to a beer price point? They're similar, but maybe like a variation of a couple dollars.
Yeah, I mean, actually the way that like the excise tax structure works in the United States, it's a lot more expensive to produce a distilled spirit product than it is a malt-based product. So it's like a White Claw.
Explain what that tax structure is.
So the federal government and each state has an excise tax structure where, depending on what product you're producing, so say in the state of Missouri, if you're producing a vodka-based product, our excise taxes per gallon are $2. Whereas if you're producing a malt-based product, so a White Claw or a Busch Light, it's 6 cents per gallon. So it's a massive difference, and it's really challenging to get your price points to align when your products are taxed in such a different way.
That's insane that malt based does that. Yeah, because there are seltzers that are malt based, which is kind of wild. But what made you want to create not a malt based product, even though it's cheaper? Because I mean, a critic could look at the product and they could say, not like the critic of the product, but a critic of the brand could look at it and say, well, couldn't you get the same result by having the exact same can, the exact same product feel, but just doing malt over what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think ultimately the answer was, we felt like the taste profile and the ultimate product was just better with vodka, to say distilled spirit. And I think, whether we sink or swim in the long run comes down to the product. And if the product's not right, then it's not going to work.
Right, because the quote unquote gimmick of it only lasts so long. Right. If it doesn't taste good, people aren't going to buy it. You might have a big boom right off the bat, but then it just kind of dies off after that if the product isn't good. So having that mix is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that in the seltzer boom, right? Where everybody and their mom came out with a seltzer at one point. After White Claw, Truly, Bud Light Seltzer, Corona Seltzer, all of these different guys, and they were all malt-based seltzers. And it just exploded, and there was a lot of experimental drinking from consumers early on, and I think ultimately what shook out was that the cream rose to the top, and that the really good tasting products are kind of still around, and a lot of the other products just aren't here anymore.
Yeah. And I think like branding and marketing has a lot to do with it too. I think White Claw was kind of the first, and then Truly kind of a close second, or I'm not sure which one exactly came first in the seltzer area, but it all was kind of similar. And then, and then you had Truly that came out with to compete, wanted to expand their product base, so came out with like the lemonade based ones. And then like you said, everybody, I mean, I've seen Sonic came out with a seltzer mix, which is like, it's all the same. But then like High Noon really took the market because you had like Barstool Sports and Dave Portnoy, and that's kind of their thing now is High Noon. They promote it and everything, and that kind of blew up. But how much would you say is more the taste versus the branding?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it's both with High Noon, right? it's produced by EJ Gallo, which is a gigantic wine company. So
Yeah.
they have millions of dollars of resources to push behind this. So that's obviously a big part of it is their brand, right? And partnering with Barstool. But I think at the end of the day, they have a really good tasting product too.
Yeah.
And that is why people have stuck with it.
And but that speaks to what you guys have going on too, is that you have not only a good tasting product, but the marketing and the brand behind it is perfect. In your case, it's all in the package. High Noon's case, they had a good tasting product, but they also had like the backing of a very prominent figure behind it as well. But so it's kind of cut from the same cloth. You guys are just saying this is our product and it's going to be successful on its own basis.
Yeah, and also, Mike, with all that being said, I mean, our price point, it's not like it's out of line with other seltzers.
No. I mean, if you look at where we're going to target from like a 4-pack price perspective, we're below High Noon. We're going to be a little bit above some of the kind of lower end, I would call it, vodka sodas.
Okay.
But we're going to be competitive.
Yeah. And that's great. Yeah, like you don't want to be necessarily on the high end and at all, because then all this, you might just be out of the range of certain people. So, okay, so you kind of went through some of the challenges. Where do you guys kind of see yourselves in the next? Obviously, it all kind of remains to be seen because you haven't launched the product yet. But like, what's the goal? What's the point after you launch the product? And one goal, the product's launched. Goal number 2, you're in bars. Goal number 3, you're in, stores. At what point do you sit there and go, okay, we don't really, what we're doing is cool. We don't, we're satisfied with what we have going on. Now let's just kind of see it kind of go. What do you think that point is? Like, what is that ambition? Where's the ambition stop for the product?
That's kind of a hard question because neither of our personalities are the type that it's more of a, hey, we're satisfied, so this is where it's going to stop.
Right.
There's possibilities of if GreenHead is very successful, do we have an opportunity to maybe have a GreenHead light, with a little less alcohol content that might come in larger package sizes. There's maybe a couple flavors that we have up our sleeves that we've talked about. I think that both of our personalities really strive in are very about, we've done great. Now, what can we do to make it a little better?
Now, this might be a hard question to answer, but do you have other flavors potentially up the sleeve that you sit there and you go, okay, we have the product out in the market. People are kind of liking it, but not to the extent that we want. Do we come out with another flavor? Or at what point do you sit there and go, maybe we should do that?
That's a great question. And like you said, it's hard to answer right now because we're not in the market yet. So I think that's going to be more of an art than a science, right? I don't think there's a perfect answer of, if we've only sold X amount of cases 6 months in, we've got to pivot to a different flavor. Or we're going to double down on our original GreenHead flavor. I think what I will say is that our strategy of going with the vodka lime early on is that's a really good base to build other flavors off of, right? You don't have to have a totally different flavor profile for a new brand. It can be basically GreenHead based with a tweak to a different flavor, right?
Right.
Or an addition of a different flavor.
Right. And how much do you see like doing your own market research with that versus, feedback from the distributors and being able to parse that out?
Yeah, I mean, I think distributors are going to be crucial in that, but ultimately I think it comes down to the consumer, right? And we want to have a very active profile out on social media. We want to be out in the bars. We want to be talking to people and just getting feedback. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to be successful if we just listen to what people want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always found that to be a really effective marketing tactic. So when I used to bartend, one thing that we would see all the time is, we would have people come in from the brands. I mean, sometimes we'd have distributors come in, trying different products, but the distributor's job was more sell the managers and the management of the restaurant or something like that on a product. They would ask, their coworker, what do you think about this? Everybody would say yay or nay, and then they would order some, test it out, then maybe order more. But then you'd also see the brands come in where they would have, a handful of people going around, having people try the different products, saying, hey, this is, they give little samples, maybe hand out full size products, if they have the permission of the place. People would just kind of go from there and then just say, oh, I really like that. Oh, I can get that from the bar. Do you guys kind of see yourselves doing stuff like that? And if you do you see yourselves doing that, or you see like friends, or maybe hiring, no offense, but people are more willing to try a drink they've never tried before from
Good-looking females.
as good-looking female than they are just a bunch of bros.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's so many different, I would say everything you touched on is a different kind of opportunity. It's not just saying we're going to go good-looking females, or we're going to go with friends, or it's going to be just us. I think there's an opportunity at every single thing you listed.
Right.
So it's not limiting ourselves. I mean, to me, something that really excites me is, say we were out at a bar and we're just hanging out, the three of us, and we each of us walk up to the bar at a different time, and you see someone next to you be like, hey, give me a GreenHead.
Yeah.
Like that to me, that gets me giddy.
Yeah.
It makes me a little giddy. Just
having your own product,
Yeah,
and like people talking about it, which is cool. Like, what has been I mean, you said you've had people try your product, been friends, family.
Yep.
What has been kind of the support around your product among your closest group? You're in a
So we've had some close friends and family try it, but we've also branched out and done it at different events too, where, it's not necessarily people who we interact with every single day, because if at the point that we want to have a product that, say, Alec, you like, we also have to understand that not everything you like is going to be what other people like. So we need different perspectives as well.
Yeah, I think Mike was talking about the people that have tried it so far, though. What has been their perspectives?
well, no, that he kind of touched on it. I want to talk about that as well. Just like the overall support base, like sometimes, sometimes people kind of cheer you on, but don't necessarily, like it seems like people have been actively helping you guys out to launch this product, and not just kind of like support from the background. Like people are putting, actually showing
I mean, I think it's been critical early on too. Whenever we've done a round of samples, like we've had people try it that we know will give us honest, constructive criticism.
Right.
Like we don't want everyone to just pump us full of sunshine and say, "Oh, this tastes great. It's the best seltzer ever."
Well, it doesn't help you at all.
All right, exactly. Yeah, because frankly, the first round wasn't that good.
Really?
All right, no, it really wasn't. I think out of like 7 people that tried it, maybe 1 or 2 were like, "Oh, this is okay," and then everyone else was like, "This tastes like shit." So
How did that feel?
Go ahead. I mean, it didn't hurt feelings at all. It was appreciated. It was,
Yeah, but like, I mean, you guys got to a point to where you sat there and went, we should test this on people. I mean, you guys probably tried it first before you tested it with other people, or was it your also first time trying it?
It was the first time for everyone.
For everybody. Okay, so you had no idea. So it's not like you sat there and were like, oh, we actually kind of like this, and then you put it in front of people and everybody's like, it's kind of shit. No.
no, fortunately, we were all kind of aligned that it didn't taste good.
Cool. Okay. So no hearts were broken in the process. Yeah.
But, we've also had one of our best friends who is not a seltzer drinker. He was around for a couple samples we had, and we said, okay, you're not going to taste it because we know your opinion on it.
Yeah. Yeah. His initial feedback was like, I don't drink this stuff, so I don't like it.
Yeah, but also, I think an even more valuable opinion is someone who doesn't drink it at all. But out of these samples, which one, if someone gave it to you, would you sit there and go, okay, I'll drink this because someone gave it to me, and I'm not even going to touch this?
So he actually did say that with the last one. He's like, yeah, this is bad. I'm not going to drink it, but it's...
But if someone handed it to me, I would probably drink it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that goes back to when you asked about what's our challenge, right? Like, ultimately, that's probably our biggest challenge. It's not something that's going to be solved in the first year and maybe not even the second year, right? Of getting over the stigma of dudes drinking a seltzer at the bar.
Right. No, that's great. I mean, like, even the can design right now, should we say it? Should we say the can design? Sure. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Which is a gold can, green top. We haven't even seen the can yet.
Still waiting on it.
Yeah, still waiting on samples for the can, but that's also that's in the old school can design.
Yep.
I think really the only can design that's out there that looks like that now is Stag. And Stag's the, I mean, you gotta be a pretty rough guy to just sit there and just drink Stag on just order that out of everything else.
It's funny though, like where we grew up in Carlinville, Illinois, like there's 12 bars in a town of 5,000 people, and every single bar has Stag on your apps.
So that's how you can always tell the type of bar that you're in, is if not only Stag on draft is a whole different level, but the fact that they even carry Stag is a whole thing. So you guys are basically the only other gold can on the market. I mean, there might be others, but like basically the only other gold can on the market.
Right. And so something that Alec and I had both done, and I actually, just sent him a picture this weekend, was I went out to a restaurant and just got a to-go order and just took a picture of, what they had behind the bar. And I was like, man, I said a gold can would really stick out.
Stands out.
It would really stick out in this group of, everything behind the bar.
And that was, I imagine, kind of the thought behind a lot of the seltzer brands, is they wanted a unique design. Obviously, the can size was different. They would stick out among everything else within the coolers. A gold can does stick out. Just the same as like a Corona beer sticks out because it's a clear bottle and it's yellow, because it's the classic, or gold, the classic beer color. That's a great market play right there. It's gonna draw people's eye. Oh, what's that gold can? And the logo is big enough and it's different enough to where people know it's not a Stag, but it catches their eye enough to where they're curious. Like you said, the curiosity is a big part of it. What is that?
Yeah, I think, the funny thing is, and we've talked about this, Mike, it's like we have to walk that tightrope of how do we create a brand and a logo and a can that sticks out to people, but it's not flamboyant, right? It's not like...
Right.
It blends in. If you had a cooler full of beer in GreenHead, nobody's going to give it a second glance, right?
Yeah.
It just fits in.
Right.
And we're not trying to go out there and say, like, every beer drinker is just going to stop drinking beer and start drinking GreenHead. That's not going to happen. But maybe they grab a full pack of GreenHead with a 12-pack of Busch Light.
Yeah. And that also kind of makes me think about the general market and how the marketing side of GreenHead is, what do we see is like what's the driving factor? Like, why are people ordering a GreenHead? Like, are they hearing about it at the bar because they're seeing it? I mean, that's a part of it. Do you want people to kind of be aware of the brand first and then look for it at bars? Like, what is that? Because I kind of see, as you know, I specialize in marketing, specifically like search engine optimization and stuff like that. Like my goal for the website, unlike any other alcohol website, is to draw people to the website. When they're searching for seltzers, when they're searching for beer, when they're searching about alcohol concepts in general, like we want the website to show up to bring people there. One aspect of it is, different pairings. What is GreenHead go good with? What kind of food does GreenHead go good with? What kind of, all that type of stuff. Like a lot of craft beers are doing that nowadays. I think Four Hands is one of the first to do it with some of their beer, where they have on the back of the beer, they say, goes really good with chicken and pizza and stuff. And they have it on different ones. It's like, sure, this beer goes with most things. It's a beer, but like, having that aspect to it. Even if you see something that this particular drink that you're saying, hey, this goes well with, it could even be an implementation on the can design. But adding that sort of content, I think, not to be long-winded here, one of the things that I think you guys are already doing something different than any other brand out there. You're focused on the product. You want the product to taste good, but a big part of the product is the marketing and the feeling behind the product. So how much of that, like, you guys could basically turn the brand into a industry education type brand, something that none of these other brands do. All these other guys have websites stood up so that you have someplace to go. But, what brands out there writing blogs, educating people on, different parts of the industry in general? What brand it really has a mission behind it other than what you guys are doing? You guys have a local mission. You guys are saying, we are part of the Midwest. We're part of this class of people, and we want to educate as many people about it. That's all part of kind of the overall marketing. I don't even know if I had a point to it. I'm just kind of rambling about what I like about the brand. Just being able to educate people about that stuff in general, like, writing content, posting content about, the farming industry and corn and all that types.
So a couple things to that. To go to the first point about how we envision the brand being out there. Obviously, we want a push for people to be willing to switch over to a GreenHead. But like Alex said, it might not come immediate for the Busch Light drinkers, but we want people to see it out there. We want them to say, that's worth trying. And that's a curiosity thing. It's part of we want it to be out there to where it becomes just like an everyday thing. It's one of those, hey, it's a GreenHead.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. And I mean, to touch on something that you're doing, Mike, that I think is going to be really important for the brand, right, is getting it out there on social media and on the internet in front of consumers, the type of consumer that we're targeting.
Yeah.
Right. So that they're coming into the store with purchase intent to look and go get a GreenHead, right? They're just not coming in and looking at the windows and then they happen to stumble upon GreenHead.
Right. And you almost have your own secondary form of marketing, especially when you first launch, is people go into stores, like they try a GreenHead at a bar, and then they go into the store and they say, hey, do you guys have GreenHead? And they're like, oh, no, we don't have that. And then you have enough people kind of go into those areas asking for GreenHead, and they're like, okay, maybe we should start ordering this thing, reaching out to the distributor. Hey, have you heard of this? Like, people keep asking for it. It's almost a secondary form of marketing, which is really, really cool, is that the consumer base need and wants to try the product.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's the only way a brand in the beverage alcohol industry is successful, if that consumer pull is there. Because you can have as much push as you want, right? Like, you can have the best distributor in the world who's building displays and has it right in front of every single consumer that walks into whatever liquor store you're talking about.
Yeah.
But unless the consumer wants it, it's ultimately not going to be successful.
Right. Yeah, that's and that just kind of speaks to the whole business relationship that you have with the distributor too. Is, that kind of trust and that buy-in through the distributor is also super important too. Is that kind of part of the marketing plan, is like reaching out to these distributors, having them try the product and buy into it? Or is it just, how's that process been going?
Yeah, so early on, because we're going to be kind of locally focused, right? We have to determine who the best partner is going to be from a distribution standpoint. So we've got a few people in mind. Those meetings really haven't started yet. But going back to what Josh said, it's going into a meeting with these guys, letting them sample the product and seeing who's excited about it, right? Yeah, because we want a partner in distribution. We don't want somebody who just puts it on their truck and puts it in the store, right? We want somebody who's excited, who wants to build the brand, whose salespeople are educated about the brand, because that's super important.
Which is the best case scenario. And then the secondary part is, then if you have a distributor that's bought into the product, they're going to push the product. And then the distributors that aren't bought in, that's where the real marketing comes in, because you want to force their hand too.
And so another thing to kind of touch on a point that you had said previously, we're wanting to stick with distributors in this area, and we do have a local mission. I mean, we're using local groups. Our canning is local. Our co-packing is local, St. Louis metro area, So we're really keeping that local mission that can also tie in with local distributors. It's we're really trying to, you worded it best, a local mission.
Which, that's ultimately, for me, that's always the goal, and that's always the type of brands I like to promote and I like to work with personally. Because, so just a little background, the reason why I started this podcast in general was I was having trouble creating content. I could look at the camera. I felt kind of awkward just talking to the camera that way. I always thought I spewed better ideas when I was talking to people in conversational format. So I started doing that, and all of a sudden I started seeing people that were interested, business owners. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, you know what? There's so many brands out there that we buy that are these national brands, but how many local small businesses do we actually support? And when we think about that aspect in general, you also have to think about, okay, when a small business succeeds, like when GreenHead succeeds, these national brands, they aren't going to be hurt because they lose a little bit of market cap to GreenHead, but GreenHead and the local community really succeeds when GreenHead does well. Because when you buy a national brand, that money doesn't stay national. That money goes wherever. But when you buy a local product, like when someone buys a GreenHead, that money stays within the local economy. It gets redistributed throughout the entire economy. It gets redistributed to your distributors, to your canners, to the people that are actually making the formula of the product, to you guys who are buying other local products. Like, it all just kind of circulates, and everybody gets a piece of the pie and wins a little bit. And that's I love, and I think everybody should be promoting brands like that. I did a podcast with a brand called Captain Beard Co. So they do men's products for specifically like skincare, beard care, stuff like that. He puts a big emphasis in finding and creating products that don't affect like male hormones like some of these other products do. So that's a big part of his mission as well. And he said something that will always stick with me. He said, I will be happy the day I put Procter and Gamble out of business. And it's just such a powerful thing to see, is like that local, Procter and Gamble is a national company. They don't necessarily care about the user, the end user. They don't care about the community. They don't care about the, the farmers who are growing the corn for, like how you guys do for your product. National brands don't care about that. It's just always, really cool to see some of these brands, not only the end consumer supporting local businesses, but also the local businesses and local brands supporting local businesses, and all sitting there going, hey, we're all in this together. If we support each other, then we all succeed. And that mentality is really, really cool. That's also the part that I love about what you all are doing, is that you aren't sitting there going, oh, well, we could save a little bit of money if we go with this company out in Colorado or out in, wherever. No reason I said Colorado, just an example. But I think that's really cool. You're all supporting each other, and that ultimately everybody wins.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun part. It's also a challenging part, right? Like for any business that's just starting out, especially the beverage alcohol space, it's you're David versus Goliath, right? Like we're fighting against EJ Gatlow, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, and all of our other competitors are also giant corporations, right? So how do we make a product that resonates with consumers, knowing that we don't have the economies of scale to compete on price with those guys?
Right. Yeah, but everybody started somewhere. I mean, they started as a small local, they didn't all of a sudden blow up until they became successful in wine. So I think there's all this opportunity. There's a huge amount of opportunity. And the only way that someone blows up to be a huge national or multinational brand is also by being successful and all working together. And I think that's the thing, is when David's working against Goliath, David needs a little help, like I think, and working together is ultimately the way that everybody succeeds. So that's definitely one of my favorite aspects of this brand, and what you all are doing, is that with a lot of the brands that I work with and do podcasts with and stuff like that, they walk the walk as well as talk the talk. You guys aren't just saying, hey, we're a local small business, but we also use everybody else to create our product. You guys are like, no, we're a local small business, support us. We're also supporting these other local small businesses, which I think resonates with a lot of consumers.
Yeah, well, it's funny, like what you just hit on. Like that's part of the challenge is, right? Like you want to be a local small business that supports other local businesses, but we want people to buy GreenHead because it's really good.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't want them to buy it just because it's made in St. Louis. Like I want them to try it up against the high noon and they're like, wow, this is better.
Right. But that's also, I mean, any craft beer drinker can attest to that concept, which is, and I've heard this a million times, is, this beer was so good, but then they started mass producing it and it just wasn't as good anymore. And I think that's kind of the thing that happens with a lot of bigger companies, is they're really good when it's on a smaller scale, and then all of a sudden when they start really, really expanding and blowing up, it just isn't as good anymore, because obviously you can't put as much attention to the product and to the recipe when you're trying to make it on a large scale. Like if you're making 2 very good dishes of pasta, it's much different than trying to cook pasta for 50 people. It's just not the same.
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to, it's critical, especially when you're partnering with local businesses, right? Is to partner with the right local businesses. And we're really fortunate that our partners have been doing it for a long time, and they're at a scale now where they're big enough that we can grow with them, right? We can grow into their business. It's not something where we're all really small. They've been extremely knowledgeable and helpful and kind of giving us a hand up as we're learning the industry and learning the business.
Yeah. No, that's great. And you can not only that aspect, but you're also learning from them as well. And they've been in the industry for a while, so you would hope that some of these businesses, as you make decisions, as you do things for your brand, if they're like, hey, that's actually probably not best practices, or that's not something, they can help mentor you as you're starting to build your brand. Yeah. So a little bit, the little time we have left, a little bit behind you guys. So obviously this isn't your primary job. You guys don't have to say the companies that you work for, but what do you guys do on the side?
So currently I'm in sales operations for kind of a larger company. So what I do a lot is all the data analytics back end of our sales. So, we have our sales team that has their goals and, they manage their teams and everything. And I kind of do the analytics of how our group is doing for North America to our whole larger global route. So just back end of that, just kind of understanding the numbers, being able to look at those and see if there's opportunities that might be coming up.
And obviously, that's super applicable to what you're doing now.
Yeah. So very, very analytic driven in the role that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's gives me a really good base to kind of think about maybe what we need to be looking at for certain aspects of business.
Right. Yeah. And so I work for a small investment bank. We do mergers and acquisitions for mostly beer distributors, beer and wine distributors. So I've been in the beverage base for a few years, have a pretty good understanding, especially on the distribution side. So that's really kind of how this was born, right? Where we were kicking around different ideas of what kind of business we could do. And we just naturally kind of leaned into something where I had some prior knowledge of how the industry works.
So do you kind of see this thing as like a... Let me think. Do you guys kind of see this as a eventual... This will be your full-time gig? Or do you kind of see it as we'll grow it enough, we kind of like what we're doing, maybe we'll hire other people if necessary? How do you kind of see that going? Or have you even thought about it? It's okay to say, I don't know.
I would say we'll let the consumer decide that.
Well, yeah, of course. Assuming everything goes as planned, goes well.
A word I love is opportunity. There's always opportunities for us to make this, a thing for us. But at the same time, I mean, I enjoy what I do currently. I'm not in a super rush, I would say, to leave what I'm doing. But if the right things happen, then I'm needed at GreenHead, or then it'll be some thought put into it.
Well, because I'm kind of thinking, you guys, going back to what you said earlier, which is you all just kind of started talking in your basement, and you're like, we just want to start a business together. And that's kind of how the idea is stemmed, is we just want to start a business. Now, going away from GreenHead, talking about you two specifically, do you see yourselves doing more things? Like, do you see yourselves just kind of sitting there going, okay, obviously we're focused on GreenHead. GreenHead's doing well, it's doing well, kind of on autopilot for a second. Like, hey, Alec, do you want to start like a sock brand? Like, I think I see socks kind of popping off right now. Like, we make different designs and stuff like that. Like, start Shopify, get site. Like, you guys kind of see yourself just like building more things together, or is this kind of, is it the fun of building a business, or is it, hey, we found an idea, we're all in on this. Obviously, you're all in on it, but we just kind of see it this way, or do you see more potential to build other businesses together? Is that kind of the fun of it?
So I have my own opinion, but I'd like to hear yours.
That's the oh man, yeah, I like you, but I mean, do you like me? Maybe
no. I think we'd be aligned with my thoughts on this, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's a hard question to answer right now, right? Because we're just starting out, and we're gonna have to be kind of all in on GreenHead for the foreseeable future. Let's just see where it goes, to see if it's sink or swim right now, right? And ultimately, I think if it is successful, there's a lot of ancillary stuff that we could do in the same realm, right? That's GreenHead related, okay, or beverage alcohol related. So I mean, whether that product is totally separate from what we're doing or if it's related in a way, I don't know. I don't know how that shakes out.
Well, so like, and kind of the reason before you answer, the reason why I asked this question is like, just from me personally, like I love what I do. You know, one thing that I really like, I work in the ad tech industry with AI and advertising and stuff like that. And I love that industry. But I also like the idea of multiple streams of income. You know, I love the idea of being able to build something up from the ground up and expanding it that way. And the things, you know, when I am building a business, if it's, you know, even if it's just something as simple as, you know, drop shipping on Shopify or something like that, being able to try different things out and applying them to other areas of what I do, you know, applying them to my main career and, you know, just trying different things out that I might not necessarily have the freedom to do when someone is physically paying you for something. But, you know, building different businesses that way and just having fun with it. That's kind of why I asked that question.
So I guess I'll go back and answer now for you. I kind of feel similar to what Alex said. To an extent, I think that people get lost if they try to do multiple outlets. If there's like, you know, we need to be all in on GreenHead. I think that some brands lose some of their own feel, some of their own, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Focus, identity.
Yeah.
They lose some of their own identity when they start focusing on other avenues, other businesses, everything like that. And kind of what Alex said, there's so many different things that we could be able to do. Alec and I both really like philanthropy. You know, there's opportunities for us to, if GreenHead does well, there's so many different ways that we would be able to use that brand to give back to certain things.
Right.
And you know, what does that look like if we start certain things that are in the realm of GreenHead, but are able to give back to some of the causes we enjoy?
Right. I mean, I think a lot of people who strive, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who strive to make money because they want to make money. There's a lot of people who strive to make money because they want security, but they also want to give back in some way, shape, or form. I think that's super important to, and that makes kind of the owner behind the business very, very appealing to other people. You know, and just like for me, you know, I want the ability to build something so that my kids can do whatever the heck they want. You know, like I'm not gonna make them spoiled brats, but also at the same time, like I'm not gonna, I don't ever want to say no for something that is super important to them that I want for them because of the money aspect.
Right.
I also want to help other people in some way, shape, or form, you know, the philanthropy side of things. Being able, the opportunity to give back, the opportunity to share your success with others is super important. And like, especially nowadays, things are so expensive that as much as we want to, we don't always have the ability to share success with others. As you know, and I think that's, you know, having that ability is great. You know, that's kind of the point. And sometimes not the main point, but sometimes that's kind of why part of the reason why people like you or me or something like that are trying to build something a little bit bigger to be able to to spread that, to be able to, you know, to do that and secure ourselves as well as help others. Yeah, I love that. I love that aspect.
Did you have any comments on that? I thought you had some on here.
No, I mean, I think that's the cool thing about GreenHead, right? It's like it's a product that we enjoy and our friends enjoy, and we're marketing it towards people that are like us, right? So it's like if we go to a bar and promote GreenHead, like we just get to go to a bar and hang out with people like us. But that's cool.
That was one of the. It's funny. That was one of the marketing ideas that we had when we eventually get the can samples. You know, to do like photo shoots and video shoots. Just like, listen, it's for work. It's all expensed. It's all tax deductible. But like, we're just gonna go out and drink and do a product shoot for this brand, which is killer. You know, we get this type of product specifically is one that as you are checking off the to-dos of what you got to do for the business, you also get to have a little bit of fun with it too. Right. Everybody come over, try the new samples, and you know, bring a little extra. Just right. Like, gotta go from there.
Well, I think ultimately for us, like, and for people like us that are entrepreneurs starting out and we both have full-time jobs while we're doing this, like if you're not doing something that you enjoy and you're having fun at, then it's probably not going to last very long.
Yeah.
Because you've got so many other things going on in your life that if you're not enjoying it or you're not passionate about it, then you're never going to stick with it.
Right. And, you know, everybody has hobbies that they enjoy. But I think it's kind of fun to have a potential hobby or something that you enjoy that you can also make a little bit of money at.
Oh, yeah, drinking's my favorite hobby.
Make a little money off of it. I think we're good to go.
But it's also nice, you know, even in the short time that we've had GreenHead in the brand, how much more we've learned about the industry. You know, I mean, you learn about different business challenges or, you know, different licensing stuff you have to do. You know, it's constantly learning. And so even though it's like, shoot, we got to get this done, it does bring some excitement and some joy of, you know, we're doing it.
Right.
You know, it was an idea and we're seeing it come to fruition. It's
right. That was one of the things that I really started learning about the whole industry when I was helping create the design for the can. Is we had a can design that we all kind of agreed on, and then as I'm finalizing it, I'm sitting there and going, okay, now I need the Surgeon General's warning. Oh shoot, there's all this other crap that might have to go on this can, and so I called you. What was it, like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night? It might have even been midnight. I don't remember, but I called you at like 11 p.m. I'm like, okay, I got to talk through this because I don't want to get this wrong.
right.
You know, there's certain things that, I mean, the printing company, ideally, you would hope they would say, hey, you have to have this on the can. But just in case they don't, you don't want to fill and print all these cans. And then all of a sudden the FDA is like, you also have to have all this other stuff on it.
Right.
Which then, what a mess that would be. So that's been a fun learning process, 100%.
And it's knowledge you take with you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, down the road, I'll also work for a competitor of yours. You're going to be able to take the stuff I learned from you guys and apply it to them.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Redhead is going to be...
Except their barcode will go to our website, right?
You got that.
That's the trick. Yeah. That's awesome. No, it's definitely been a learning experience. I'm super excited for the product personally. And yeah, it's just a I keep harping on it. I probably said this a million times. It's just a fun product and a fun brand to promote, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just a beer. It's not just, you guys didn't just make a Bud Light or a White Claw and they're just like, hey, we just have a better product. Like the whole idea and thought process behind it is we are there. We're the guys seltzer, you know.
Yep.
We're there for the guys that tired of beer for the night, you know, or just don't want to drink beer in general. And it's just a really fun aspect that applies to all different types of people. And if the product's good too, you know, then you open that up to females who are new one seltzers. You open up to the males who also like seltzers or just don't feel like a beer. It's got so much potential. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, we're super excited. I mean, hopefully we're sitting on this podcast a year from now, just looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really great.
With some greenheads.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Maybe next time. Yeah, maybe next time we shoot this podcast. Well, what's the date? It's
February 5th.
February 5th, 2024. So next time we shoot the podcast, we might shoot another one before then, but on February 5th of next year, we'll shoot another podcast. We'll have greenheads in front of us.
Yeah.
And not that we brought ourselves, but that we ordered from the bars, which would be totally yes.
Yeah.
So cool. I appreciate you guys coming out. This was awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like hopefully, like there's a lot of we'll be talking about in a year, like how successful this was. I know it's gonna be really, really cool.
It's gonna be a fun ride. I mean, shoot, we're gonna hit stuff along the way. It's we're gonna have bumps, but just we're gonna enjoy it too.
Yeah. No, this was awesome. I appreciate you guys coming out, and we'll see what happens in a year or so.
Thank
Cool.
you, Mike. Appreciate it.
That's my sign off. I don't really have a sign off, so peace. Thank you. Yeah. This would be great.